Hello, my name is Nathan Stanford Sr. We're back again to work on the beginner's to-do list, to help you master ColdFusion by little steps at a time, help you learn to code. That's the goal, is to help you be able to code. You won't ever feel like you know everything. That's something you don't need to worry about. What you need to worry about is being able to get in the car, be able to drive, and at some point be able to drive by yourself. So I'm going to pull up what we were doing before and make sure everything still works, because I played with it and recorded for half an hour. Then realized the sound was missing. So let's do test. And then we'll hit add, and there's test. We'll hit edit. AAA, just something in there to see it update worked, and delete. Okay, so we've got that all working. We're going to start now going in and trying to make this have some new things that you need when you're at the job. So if you're doing this and you want to go into the, let's say in here you're going into the insert, you're not going to want to do it this way, because they could write in some special code. A person typing in your input statement could write code that would actually cause a problem with SQL injection. So what you want to do is this CF query param, and you want to be able to do varchar, because the name is a varchar, it's a string, and varchar is for the string. Now you can do a search and look at Adobe's website or some other websites and get a list of all the different CF SQL types. So we've just changed this, so let's make sure that it's still working. We're able to insert. So let's go back here, say test again, and it inserted. But this time it did it with CF query param. So let's actually copy that. Actually, no, let's not. Let's go to edit. In here you want to do the exact same thing, so let me copy that. CF query param. Let's go down here to CF query param. And I wasn't expecting it to do all that. Let's put in the value. And for the type, we want to put in, let's go see. I know it's integer, but I'm going to copy this just so you can see what I would do on a daily basis. Integer. Now you could look it up, and we don't really want to use this part right now. Let's get rid of all of that. So now you have it protecting you for SQL injection here as well. So if we go click edit, and let's just name it something totally different. Go get toys, whatever. There we go. So edit is working. We need to go fix update. Now update is going to be a mixture of both of the ones we just saw. So if you look at here at insert, we can copy that. Go to update. Right here is where we're doing that. Paste. Let's paste it only on the right hand side. So now we're setting it to the variable that's coming in from the form. So edit, passing it in the form. Down here we're wanting to do the same thing, but we're wanting to use the form, where in the edit page where we were displaying, it was coming from a URL. So we'll say CF query param. Let's just come down here to CF query param, and it adds in all that extra stuff we don't need. Let's put the form.id in there, and then we will say CF SQL integer, and we will get rid of all of this to the right we don't need. Get down to the end of the separator. There we go. Okay, so now we have update, should be able to work. We will update it again. We will say pick up, how about apples? I hit the enter and it added apples. So we still haven't broke it. We're still doing good. A good thing to do is when you're making changes to test, to make sure it's still working. Because sometimes you do something you know is going to work and you're going along and you've now went down several changes and something in the changes, one of them didn't work. And it may have been the very first one. So if you had tested right away, you would have known that that was the problem. So let's look at delete. We want to do the exact same that we did for the update as far as this variable goes. And it's coming from the, delete's actually coming from the URL. So let's see, that is in the edit. So we can just copy this. And we can come back here to delete. Now, this is the CF query param. You should just, on a standard, make sure you do it. Now, if you are going to say and let's say ID, the ID equals 1. Well, you could hard code it because it can't really be SQL injected, but there are some companies I've worked for where they will still have us put it in a CF query param and they will have us put the 1 in here. Why? Because when they're running some code to try to figure out if there's anywhere that they're not using a CF query param, they should be, then it will flag it and they'll have to go look at it. So if you've already got it changed, then the odds would keep them from having to have an issue. So now we've got this working. Let's make a let's add the bootstrap. I think it's time to get it to quit being so ugly. So let's go to bootstrap, and if you do a search, you should be able to find it if you just type bootstrap. I'm going to take whatever the latest version is. It happens to be version 5.3 at this particular recording. But we're going to start by using the CDN. We will change to do it another way later, at a later time. We'll copy this here. This is the CSS. So if you look right here, it's the CSS file. So by clicking this little copy to clipboard, it copies it. So now what we can do, let's go to index here, and in the header, we're going to add this CSS. Now, if you think about it, one of the problems we have right now is if I go here, if I go back here and I hit refresh, you notice the text changed in lines. But if I hit add, the text goes back. Why? Because it's only added to the one page. So one of the things you want to learn is a thing called dry. Don't repeat yourself. Anytime you have code that's going to repeat, sometimes even small code that's going to repeat, it's best to come up with a method that helps you to not have to repeat yourself. We're human. We're not perfect. As we're coding, if you can get the least amount of repeating, the better, because then you can have all of the code that is being repeated in one place. Once it's fixed everywhere. So let's start by creating a folder called includes. What we're going to do is we're going to create a header and we're going to create a footer because we want to be able to put the header code and the footer code in a separate file. So let's go to index. What we're going to do for now is we're going to copy from body up to here because we're not taking the query. The query is part of what's needed to display the tasks. And we're going to put the header in here. And we're going to go back to index and we're going to take the footer, even though right now all we've got for the footer is this little piece of code here. It's fine because you're trying to plan for when you're working at a big company and the information is a lot bigger. Now, it seems like we have CF include. It seems like we should be able to just simply do a CF include, and it made 2 less than, so let's get rid of one of them. And we're going to the includes folder, and we're wanting to get the header. Now what I'm going to do is just copy this and paste it down here, and then all I got to do is change head to foot. Now I've got the footer. So if I go back, let's actually do this. Test A, test B. The reason I'm doing that is because you've just seen the header and footer working, and you did see I changed it, but if I add the test A and B, you can see that it's definitely working. So I'm on the home page, test A, test B. So the header information, footer information. So up here you see ColdFusion to-do list. So now what we're going to do, we can get rid of these test codes that I just put in. What we want to do is move this to all of the pages. So let's start with the add. So we don't need this from the body up. We can paste. Now we got the header, and we can delete this here. We can delete this, paste, and change this to foot. So now we have a whole lot less code in this add. Then we can go to the edit and do the same thing. So we can delete this part, paste in header, delete this part, paste, and then we will change this to foot. And now we've got the footer. So now when we click around, hit refresh, when we click add, we have the new font. It's still ugly, but we're working on it. So let's go back. So one of the things we can do is for Bootstrap, we can add a tag. So let's start by adding a div. We can say we want right below the add, we want a div with a class. Now this is part of learning Bootstrap. Container. So we want to put it in a container. And then we need to put a div at the bottom. So let's scroll down. I like to have 2 spaces for every tab, and I like to make sure they all line up so it looks nice and neat. That also helps me find issues. I have several different things in my editor. Later, maybe I'll point them out. This little box, there's a person who has an extension that makes this box to help you figure out if you've got everything laid out just right. So we're missing the div. We need the ending div down here. So now if I go back and I copy this, let's see, we're in here in the index. Let's hit refresh. Now notice this moved over because we're inside of the container. We could put a container around the add and the to-do list. In fact, let's do that just so that they move over to, and then we come back here and we hit refresh. Now, it would be kind of nice if that add was a button, right? So we will say class equals btn. And let's say btn.primary. That's going to pick the color of the button. It's a Bootstrap thing. So if I hit refresh, now we have a Bootstrap colored button. So I think I'm at the end of my 15 minutes. I'm going to pause. We're going to finish this in the next video so you can watch how I finish adding the Bootstrap.